Otter AI is it's now my number 2 favorite AI. And so what I did is I played it while Otter just recorded the entire thing. And then I took that content and I was able to rewrite the entire script. And then I sent that to my video guy. And then he put 4 modules together that I was able to launch on our website with how syndication works. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm working on a website for, this apartment syndication company, and they specialize in AI technology. And so this is what they want to talk about. I need a header one. I need a about us paragraph. And I just tell it everything that I need to tell it. And then I hit enter and I get everything I need in seconds.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, the real estate podcast for perspicacious investors who know they have the strength to succeed in the lucrative commercial multifamily industry. Get expert advice on your way to becoming a top performer. I'm your host, Adam Parrish. I have my 3 co-hosts, Lisa Parrish, Bia Mosley, and Donato Callahan. How are you 3 doing?
Great.
Good, thanks. Excited about our guest.
Definitely.
Absolutely. The obstacle of today's episode: what marketing tactics and tools are most efficient to raise funds for multifamily real estate? And to help discuss this important subject today is a special guest. She is a marketing professional with over a decade of experience in real estate and property management, from managing 450 single-family homes to currently holding general partnership positions in 7 apartment complexes. We are pleased to welcome the founder of Heartwood Marketing Solutions and co-owner of One Vision Capital, Melissa Elizondo.
Thanks, guys. We're excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And Melissa, what is the word of the day?
Okay, the word of the day is authenticity. The definition is authenticity refers to the quality of being genuine, true to oneself, and honest in one's thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's also about being transparent and being sincere and maintaining a strong sense of integrity in both personal and professional relationships. And in the context of marketing, authenticity usually is creating a genuine connection with your audience and building trust through honest communication. And that usually helps with organic growth and long-term success.
Beautiful.
Great word.
And for the first question I'm going to ask today for Melissa, what is the most effective source you've had for raising funds?
I would say 80% of my past investor contacts that have come to me cold, people that I didn't actually know personally, was through Facebook. You would think it'd be LinkedIn, and that's where a lot of people go. And maybe for some people, in fact, for a lot of people, LinkedIn really works for them. And I tried the whole LinkedIn route. I am still active there, but my leads, my investors have come from Facebook. The reason I think that is for me personally is because I am authentic on my Facebook page and on my Instagram. And so I'm not just talking about real estate and marketing. I'm also showing my grandson, talking about my family, talking about personal things that are going on in my life. I'm posting reels, which kind of shows my daily or stories, that, short little clips in the top that disappear after 24 hours. That's just my daily stuff that's going on. And then I have, of course, reels that show me on video. So people are hearing my voice, seeing me, they're reading my body language. And a lot of us as humans, when we are interacting with somebody else, seeing somebody's mannerisms really help us identify if that person is trustworthy or not. So you can take a well-crafted selfie and then post some great content around that. But being on video and letting your voice and your thoughts and your genuineness come out is what really connects you to other people. So for me, it's been Facebook and just being who I am in all realms on that platform. And then right behind that for me has been networking, just in-person networking, meeting with people, meeting new people and forming relationships there, and then staying in contact with them on social media afterwards, because it's a great tool to stay top of mind with people. You may not see them all the time, and they're all over the country in most cases. And so it's a great way to just show up. And I can't tell you how many calls I get on and they're like, oh yeah, I saw your grandson is doing this, or, oh, I saw you moved, or whatever the situation is. And it just shows you that people are watching. So I would say Facebook for me.
Yeah. I know you
Awesome.
mentioned like 80% of the leads you get are from social media, right?
Absolutely. Yep, 80%. And the reason I think is because when I was a new syndicator and I had just got into the business, I really made sure I was visible in everything I was doing in this realm. So I started talking about it pretty early on, even though I didn't know what I was doing. And let's be honest, I still don't know what I'm doing half the time. But I am
It's
able
the
to like,
business.
yeah, I was able to say,
Neither do I.
oh, and you have way more experience than me. But I was able to go on there and show property tours. So I would do little videos or photos of properties I was touring. So I showed people, hey, I'm getting into this realm. And it took a year and a month before I did my first deal from when I did MFM. And so a year and a month of just for it that long, literally just showing people the journey. And I was going to Fort Worth a lot, which is a 5-hour drive for me. So I was driving up there for the weekend, looking at properties, coming back. And then when I was underwriting, I would, maybe show a photo of something. I was showing, I was taking a picture of my Zooms and stuff with my team, and I was just talking about it. And immediately, some of the low hanging fruit happened because people would said, oh, personal friends of mine on social media that were also individually wealthy and said, hey, I've been thinking about this apartment thing. Can we go to lunch? Can you tell me about it? And so I was going to lunch and telling them, yeah, this is how it works, as much as I knew then. And this is how it works. And, this is what we're hoping to do. These are the kind of returns people generally get. And, and I was honest about what I knew and what I didn't know. And I was a little nervous about that at first because when you're meeting with high net worth individuals, of course, there is a part of you that feels like I'm not worthy of being in the room or having a conversation with this person. And I dealt with the exact same thing. And I hear a lot of new students and new people into this realm saying the same thing. Like, I don't want to raise capital because I don't know how to ask people for money. I'm like, well, you're not asking them for money. You're showing them an opportunity to put their money to work. They will determine if it's a good deal or not. They know what questions they're going to ask that are important to them. Is it the returns? Is it the risk? I mean, it's literally different for everyone. I've had some investors who I thought would invest in a deal, sure thing, because they've invested in other deals with me. And they just didn't like a particular deal, but then they invested in the next one with me. And it's the weirdest thing. Like they all have different priorities. My job is to just say, here's this one. Here's what I like about it. And if they have concerns, answering those questions. But let me tell you, I'm talking to these individuals, and not once have they asked me my degree. Not once have they asked me my individual wealth, where I live, what car I drive. Like, they've never asked me that. And they probably never will because most people only care about themselves. And so they're concerned about them and where their money is going. And so really the deal is more important to them and the operating team. So if I could sell the operating team and their experience and how many units they have and whatnot, then it doesn't really matter that I, at that point had no deal. They just wanted to get a seat at the table and I was just providing it, And I struggle. I went around to these conferences and I felt like certain people were putting on airs, acting like, and I remember there was somebody in particular who had I remember when I first asked him how many doors he had, he said like 700 or 800, I don't remember. Not knowing that it was similar to me where I have almost 1,000 doors myself, but I wasn't the one who brought the deal. I'm co-GP. And so I didn't make this huge acquisition fee. I made a percentage of the acquisition fee and a percentage of the GP. And so though I own $101 million and or co-own $101 million in apartment complexes, I've earned a very small portion of that, maybe like 2 or 3% in some deals. And so I just had to be real. I just did not want to fake it. I just wanted to say, here's who I am. And when students came up to me and said, oh my God, you have 100. Yeah, it looks good on paper, but really, I've set myself up for the future because some of these deals aren't going to pay out for a while because of what's going on with interest rates and whatnot. So um, I'm just authentic and I just show people this is my version of this trip. I have another friend of mine the very first person who said, "Hey, I want to get into this. Let's have lunch." He's the one who signed up for MFM and I went with him. Like he was like, "Hey, I got this ad for this free thing at lunch. Let's go." So I went, and then he's the first one to sign up for the 3-day weekend. I was like, "You're going to do that?" He was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm going to do it too." And so I was like, he's a millionaire. I'm just going to do whatever he's doing, you know? And my uncle, who is my underwriter, leans over and says, "How are you going to pay for that?" I was like, "No idea." No idea. It's not that I can't, it's how can I, right? I just felt so excited about the opportunity because for me, I was familiar with real estate, obviously, from my past experience. It was just commercial now. And so it was different terms, more commas, more doors. But I was familiar with what was going on with property management. I was familiar with title stuff because I worked in title for a little while as well. And so I was like, I can do this business. This could change the trajectory of my entire family. And that first night I went home and I talked to my daughter, who at the time was 17. She'd been struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts for about 7 years at that point. And, medication wasn't helping. There was just a bunch of stuff going on. And I could not get that girl to think about the future at all because she just wanted to die so bad. And so I remember going home that night and I was like, "Baby, there's an opportunity for us to like change our lives." And I said, "So if money was not an option," and she has money insecurities pretty bad, but she was like, and so I said, "If money wasn't an option, what would you do with your life?" And she thought and dreamed for the first time in 7 years and said, "I think I want to do effects makeup." And I was like, "Girl, we ain't gotta be rich for that." Like, my friend owns a beauty school. Like, let's get started. And so I signed her up for cosmetology school like the next week, and got her started in that realm. I took her to Vegas with me last year to Peaks, and now she's pregnant and gonna have my second grandkid, and so she's living life. And for me, I don't care how much money I make. That alone changed everything for me.
I didn't know how much we had in common. I'm not going to go on my whole daughter's story either, but she just got an esthetician license and very,
Oh,
very,
awesome.
very similar to what you just said. So
Awesome.
it's so
Yeah.
cool how people come together and like, you don't know why you click or why you're drawn to someone or why you like their stuff. But I've always felt that way about you. So thank you for
Thanks.
sharing
Just
that.
like laying my family's drama out there.
Right, right. So
They're not gonna watch.
you're being authentic. That's
I know.
totally authentic.
Yeah, what was the second question?
All right. Is there any more questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask Fia a question. What tactics have you used to proliferate the name awareness, AMFers?
Well, you're the one that came up with that. And multifamily investments, right? It's funny. I feel like I should just be like whatever she just said, But yeah, well, what happened for me as well is I had been through a lot of hard stuff also, a lot of hard stuff with my daughter for probably since she was 10 as well. And just trying to figure it out, got a realtor license, didn't like that. Just trial and error. And so once I got into this, I was just like ready to be bold and to actually learn who I was. I didn't really know. And I turned my camera on and I shared about, my elderly friend and how, I mean, he had just gone through bladder cancer and just, I feel like this is going to make me cry right now. I don't know, but, just sharing very personal things. And then I just posted on Facebook, about how I just went to this thing. And then from there, I just kept it very personal. If you don't know what you're talking about with real estate, like people want to know who you are more than like you sounding smart, right? So even with brokers, I would talk to them about things I cared about, about teenage kids who had hard lives, or about the fact that, I had an opportunity after I met all these younger guys, did not know Manny Mowdy. I had an opportunity to just watch them. Like, they're coming into like their young 20s and just seeing all their talents and their growth and learning from them and just being so inspired. Like I just put that all over Facebook, pictures of them, pictures of us all together, talking about my team and their, just hearts and their talent. So yeah, just very personal things relating to the business. And even the logo and the name has a lot of symbolism. We have to go into all that right now, but it all means so much to me and people can feel that. So, I didn't know, like, I didn't think, oh, my videos are so awesome. I was just like talking and trying to practice being bold, really. And then people were like, oh, I want, even my sister, I was kind of like, what? My sister in Vegas was like, oh man, your nieces watch your videos. And I was the most shocked that my family member was watching it. So yeah, it's just, that was kind of how I
Were
started
you being authentic? Yeah.
in the videos.
Yeah.
Oh
You
yeah,
didn't,
yeah,
you didn't, you
absolutely.
didn't use the word
I
authentic,
didn't use
but
the
you had
word.
several chances.
You must have
So,
been, you must have
yeah,
been lying, Thea.
I'm
Were you
lying.
lying?
I'm lying because Anna really came up with the AMFers term. But to me, that's actually 10 people. Like our team, AM Multifamily Investments has 6. AMFers is 10 people. It's us and the Parish family. So
I love
that's
it.
a whole.
I love it.
Melissa.
Yeah.
How have new technologies such as AI improved your marketing capabilities?
Oh my gosh. I freaking love AI. You want me to like go down this whole rabbit hole with you? Because I get all excited. Yeah. I will tell you, okay, so as a creative, I tend to get writer's block. I don't mean to, but things seem overwhelming when I think about the kind of content I got to put out. I'll see other people's content and I'll think, oh, that's great. In fact, we had done our very first deal with a group out of California called Sterling Rhino, and they had 4 videos that they put out on how multifamily investing works. And so one of the first things I did before this whole chat GPT thing, this was back in August of last year, I was like, you know what? I want to transcribe their videos and rewrite it for One Vision Capital and put our spin on it. Like we talked about before the camera came on, like you think, well, somebody has that. Well, not everybody has access to those people's content. And this is my spin on it, my knowledge and my expertise paired with their content. And so I downloaded Otter AI. Otter AI is it's now my number 2 favorite AI. And so what I did is I played it while Otter just recorded the entire thing. And then I took that content and I was able to rewrite the entire script. And then I sent that to my video guy. And then he put 4 modules together that I was able to launch on our website with how syndication works. And then, of course, in December, ChatGPT came out and it was a game changer. Let me tell you, I was so excited. I was one of the first million users, and I was 3 weeks in, by the way. And just so you have context on how fast that kind of growth is of users, it took Instagram 9 months to get to 1 million users. It took Facebook a year and a half to get to 1 million users. And so ChatGPT did it in 10 days. 10 days. And so I saw it on TikTok or something. And so I went and tried it out and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And so one of the things that I'm able to do is take other people's content and their ideas and feed in my own opinions and my own outlook and ask it to create content for me. I use it for everything. I literally have it write my emails for me. I have it do literally everything. Anything that takes me time, like emails take up a lot of time for me. These Zoom calls with our GP teams on all these deals that we're on, I have to take in that information. And then though they send out an update via the portal to most of these investors, I like to put my own personal touch on that and email those investors and say, here's what's going on with the property. And so I got to do this. I had a bunch of meetings a couple weeks ago, so I got some clips of it. And I think I just posted that on TikTok yesterday. But I just let the Zoom meeting happen. Otter AI records it and summarizes it. I then take that and put it in ChatGPT and tell it to write an email to my investors summarizing what's going on with this property, let them know da 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 da, and then it churns out an email. And because I don't want to type as much anymore, because the one thing with ChatGPT, if you haven't used it, is if you put garbage in or you just ask a few questions, you're going to get basic answers back. But if you're able to give it a lot of information, which does require a lot of typing, then it can generate some great content. So I learned a couple weeks ago that if you hit Window and H, it turns on your microphone on a Windows computer. And so I just go to ChatGPT, click in the box, Windows H, and I speak everything, just like you would speak a text. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm working on a website for, this apartment syndication company, and they specialize in AI technology. And so this is what they want to talk about. I need a header one. I need a about us paragraph. And I just tell it everything that I need to tell it. and then I hit enter and I get everything I need in seconds. And so things that would have taken me, for instance, with these meetings for these updates on these apartments, I would have taken notes as fast as I could, and then I would have to go back and write the email, typos and all, and I would type the email up and try to summarize it in a way that sounded like, we weren't in a terrible situation, but we're also not in a positive situation either. We're somewhere in the middle, whatever. I'm trying to lessen the blow for some of the stuff going on in the economy and like, hey, this is what's going on, but blah, blah, blah. So I just tell it what to write and to address these certain concerns that I have. And then it writes these emails for me. That would have taken me days sometimes because I'm digesting it, wondering how I'm going to tell them this or that. Instead, I'm doing it in seconds. Like it has changed my life. The other thing that happened to me in marketing is changing drastically right now because of AI technology. A lot of people are cutting out their marketing agencies, trying to do marketing on their own. And I don't blame them because I kind of did the same thing. What happened was starting last year, about 7 months ago, as right before AI is taken off, like all this stuff is starting to kind of come. Economy is, we got inflation going on, budgets are being cut. I ended up losing all my retainer clients. And I never thought that would happen. And I only had about 12 of them, but they paid my bills. And so all of a sudden, October 1st, I lost my first one. By the end of November, I had no more monthly clients. All I had were one-off projects like building websites and whatnot. For the marketing company, I only had 2 months of expenses and savings because it's just been a wild ride since COVID. And so we've just been up and down and we have high payroll and whatnot. My people went off to go get jobs. And so I only had a few people left. So we're operating on the skeleton crew. And now I got to write content. And so AI helped me for the last 7 months manage these projects for these clients that I ended up getting. I ended up going viral on TikTok on accident, talking about AI, and it ended up in 24 website jobs in 2 weeks. And so I'm wrapping up the last 5 of them this weekend. And so then I think I launched 2 last week and we just have 5 more from that original influx of business. By the way, going viral is not a business plan that will crack your infrastructure, especially when you're a 3-person team now. And so AI helped me get through it. Like AI helped me come up with layouts. It helped me come up with content. Helped me come up with ideas based on who the customer was and who their audience was. It helped me do a lot of research for certain clients where they needed to look at another brand and say, we're in competition with that brand. Here's our spin on it. Now what's our value proposition and stuff. So we were able to do a lot of work with a skeleton crew because of that. And it has been a wild ride. In fact, everything I hear about AI, I'm very in tune with it. I'm always trying out new stuff, seeing what works, what doesn't work, what's worth it, what's not worth it. I had to teach ChatGPT to a couple of classes for real estate agents. I literally had ChatGPT just write the class for me. And then I installed this AI plugin in Microsoft or Google Slides. And I inputted the agenda and it totally did all the slides and the photos for me. Like it would have taken me days, if not hours, to do a presentation on that. And I did it in minutes. And all I did was just move some stuff around and it was done. And I did it the night before the event. So I'm telling you, it's a game changer and I'm nerding out on it. I love it. But ChatGPT is my favorite.
I've been taking notes too.
Okay.
Right? And I'm like, I don't usually write during this.
Yeah. So ChatGPT is my #1 favorite. It's not live though, so it doesn't know anything past 2021. Bard got released a few months ago, which is Google's version of AI. It is live, and you can request access to it now. You have to use a personal Gmail account to do it. It won't let you do a professional one, but you can get in and test it. Ask it market research. It knows what's going on right now. That is a great tool for you if you're going to be blogging, which you should if you have a website just for SEO. That hasn't gone away yet. And so writing blogs, writing content, if you know of something that's happening in the world and you want to tie it in, you can do that. I'll tell you, I used it the other day. I have a few new students we brought into the team and I said, well, I need bios for you. And they're like, oh, I don't have one. And they don't really have experience in the real estate realm. I said, just give me your list of jobs that you've had and I'll write it. So they did. I took it and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, take their background, tie it into why they're going to be a great asset for a multifamily syndication company. And that's their bio. And in seconds, it did that. And I loaded it up. And so it's just great it's like having a virtual assistant on steroids or Google on steroids that isn't going to give you just a bunch of links that you still have to go do research for. Just give me the answer. Just tell me what it is. I've used it even in underwriting when I'm trying to figure out something. I'm like, what's going on with the DSCR? Here's the information. What do you think? Da da da. What's the cap rate over here? Like, I'm just asking it questions, and it's helping me kind of those little things that I just don't know still.
I wish that was around when I was in high school. When you had to write a paper.
Yeah,
I high school, nobody needs to write an essay anymore.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely has its pros and its cons, right? Like, I keep telling people, use it for good, not evil. but I have told a college girl about it, and she thanked me the other day because she's been able to get her papers written. And so I was like, I'm glad you're passing, but I'm also a believer that you're going to learn what you need to learn in the real world,
You really do still have to lead it and find the sources and authenticate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really just to help with all those little tedious things like, what am I going to write about? And so you can say, hey, I need to write a blog. Here's what I do. I'm kind of leaning towards this. Can you give me 5 blog ideas? And maybe you like one and you like 90% of that one. Then you can say, okay, I want to write a blog on that topic. And here's kind of my thoughts around it. What are some other things that we can add to it? And then I'll do that. I actually talked to a team the other day and they're going to use it to write their ebook, just their lead generator. And it's actually going to be about using AI as a business owner to attract high net worth entrepreneurs. And so it was a great way to kind of tie that in, I thought. So AI is going nowhere. It's going to work. We're in what's called the AI revolution. In fact, everything I'm hearing is that like 2 years from now, we're going to say, hey, remember when we did that manually? And we wrote our emails with our fingers? Yeah, I'm excited. That has been a huge game changer. And I'm completely transparent and authentic when I talk to my clients that I'm using it. And so I had a client come to me and say, I'm also a StoryBrand Certified guide. And so one of the things that we do is we help people do their marketing with the StoryBrand framework. And all that really means is that in a good story, you have a hero and you have a villain, but you also have a problem that hero is needing to solve. Every good movie, every good book has this. The hero almost always has a guide that comes along. So like in Star Wars, your hero is Luke Skywalker, but he is the weakest character in the entire movie until the end, until the last 10 minutes, right? But then you have your Jedis like Yoda and Obi-Wan who come in. They're the guide who's been there and done that. And they show the hero how to win the day and get over the problems. So the StoryBrand method is in my marketing, I'm saying that I'm the guide. I'm not the hero. I'm never the hero because that is the weakest link. I'm the guide. I've been there, done that. And I'm helping my customer, my investor, and my client. They're the hero. And I need to help them win the day. So that means that I need to address the problems that they have and the solutions that I can give them to get to success. So in this realm of multifamily syndication, that's inflation is a problem. My money's sitting there and losing value is a problem. The stock markets are a problem. Crypto's a problem. And so where is your money? How's it doing? Oh, here's a solution, a possible solution for you, real estate investing. And this is how it looks. And so I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide on how to do this. And so I've taken that information and I've been able to, because it knows StoryBrand framework. I'm literally like taking a client. I don't even know where I started with this question, but anyway, I'm taking clients through this framework and I'm saying, oh, you got stuck on that one piece. Let's go to ChatGPT and ask that, what's your value proposition or what's your 1, 2, 3 steps? Even though there's 27 steps into investing in apartment syndication, I need to tell the client it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. And so I'm just using the tools to help me do the job I was already doing manually quicker, So writer's block gone. If you're like, oh, I need you to write a bunch of content, cool. I'm good with that now. I was not before,
It's awesome.
Sir Callahan, what does the marketing side of your illustrious business, Right Investor, look like?
Multifaceted. And we do use AI as well. There's an AI platform out there called Designer with 2 R's. We just used it to, I think in like 2 or 3 hours, I wrote a 132-page ebook on market research. And, the language is a little repetitive, so I had to go in and I curated it and trimmed it down and fixed it. But now we're using that as a new lead gen source coming out here pretty soon to talk about market research and things you should do and tools you should leverage. We use AI in helping write emails and creating content as well. It's just so much more useful. Building email templates for how we're going to get them out to our customers. So it helps a lot. But overall, our marketing strategy involves social media. So putting out consistent content and doing things that, one, we're releasing new content now that shows our platform actually being used. So how people can use it to do their market research and get those answers to questions like, where are the good areas to buy? Where should I not be buying? And also releasing a new line of content or posts about who we are. So releasing more things about who are the people behind Bright Investor? What's our story? Where did we come from? And communicating that authenticity to our clients. In addition to that, we do podcast resound just like this one, Lives and Multifamily. Fantastic. I think our box is behind you, the left-hand side of you, Godfather.
Yes, sir.
Podcast, and then also affiliate marketing. And I'm also happy to announce that Bright Investor is actually going to be a sponsor at the Limitless Conference in Phoenix, June 15th and June 17th.
Nice.
It's pretty exciting. So we'll be there. We're going to have a booth and we'll be right up there with Attached to Win and Robert Kiyosaki and Brandon Turner and having a booth. And so all that kind of stuff comes together for how we do our marketing.
That's awesome.
That's
So
great.
you'll definitely have to go now.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
no, I am going.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I wrote it down.
Adam, maybe we should talk about instead of Charlotte.
And also, speaking of marketing Right Investor visualizes data trusted by thousands of investors who want to know what's happening in real estate markets. Proven data from trusted sources such as Adam Data, Rentometer, Crimometer, Mashvisor, U.S. Census Bureau, and more. Don't be a dim investor, left in the dark, struggling to navigate the tumultuous landscape of multifamily real estate without the proper apparatus of market due diligence. Become the bright, market-savvy investor you're destined to be today with Bright Investor and use code A&E for 10% off at checkout.
Thanks, Godfather. And truly, we find that a lot of people a lot of our clients so far are multifamily investors, people who are coming into real estate groups and coaching groups or people who are on the single family side who are looking to get started and they've already made the commitment to purchase access to education because they know it will scale their careers much faster. They're finding this tool. And, just this week, we dropped 4 new features on Bright Investor. We have about 4 more coming in the next 2 weeks. Things like being able to download rentometer reports, being able to see eventually, sneak peek stuff, like Airbnb occupancy trends and live listings, and being able to see a lot of really cool stuff coming to the platform. We keep adding more and more directly from feedback from people who they need to know these things because there's just no way to get it in a time effective manner. So if you're using AI to save time writing content and you don't want to, waste hours of your life trying to find this information, but it has
or a bunch of money.
Yeah. Or you don't want to spend
totally.
$1,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month trying to get access to data. You already know that there are better ways to do things. And that better way to do things is through Bright Investor. It just makes so much sense. And that's why we built this platform. We're really excited to be able to share with people and let people know there's new way to do this thing. We're happy to help people achieve their real estate goals. And Melissa, I have read StoryBrand. I love StoryBrand. It is such a good book.
It's a great book.
That example you pulled, I remember reading that, pulled right from the chapter 1. It makes so much sense because everybody has a goal. Everybody has a journey. And it's not just I'm succeeding so I get this. I'm also succeeding so I don't do this. So I don't have that, what am I trying to avoid?
Failure, yeah.
It matters so much. Nobody wants to buy a property in a war zone. Nobody, if I'm in Southern California and everything is $1 million plus, I want to get real estate investing. I can't do that here. I need to buy somewhere else. How do I know I'm buying the right area? What's appreciating well? if I buy over here, will I make money or will I not? What's the crime look like? All these questions that have plagued real estate investors for years. And the only way to get it was knowing the right person or going to the down to the county and pulling the right record or knowing the right website or paying tons of money is not an effective solution. Now there is one. And so marketing, when it comes to how we do marketing brand investors, honestly speaking to people like yourself and just getting on platforms like this and telling people, hey, it's here. The game has changed. You can succeed. You can do it. We want to help you do it.
That's awesome. I'm excited. I'm like, all right, let's end this so I can get on.
Yeah, awesome.
Right. Not everybody gets to have Donato work with them. So you might as well purchase that and,
Yeah, I'm excited. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, check it out. It's really cool. Thanks, Godfather.
No problem. Lisa, how did marketing affect your business?
So when we got started in the business, back in the olden days, there was not social media or really even smartphones. So right, that really ages me. So it was very different than it is today. So if you wanted to network with people, we had to go to live events. And I mean, I know a lot of people do that now, but that was the only option really that we had. And honestly, I still prefer that today, like Melissa was talking about, being able to get that face to face. I do believe though that we would have reached success easier and faster had we taken advantage of some of the technology. I think a mistake that new business owners make is that they want to use technology instead of face-to-face networking. And I personally think that that's a fatal mistake. And especially in the multifamily business, maybe not in all businesses, but this podcast is geared toward multifamily, the multifamily business. And technology basically made it so that you can reach more people, more time efficiently. And why not do things the easier way? So in my opinion, you still have to know how to sell to have success though. So you have to be able to sell yourself more than anything. You have to be able to convince people that you're trustworthy, that you have integrity and authenticity. And then you must actually be trustworthy and must actually have integrity and be authentic, not just, convince people. And don't miss the importance of face-to-face meetings. I mean, face-to-face networking and selling yourself, showing your passion and drive for whatever you're selling. You can do that through AI, but to get face-to-face, you can, have you ever been in one of those, maybe a sales pitch, but you get goosebumps when the person's talking about whatever it is that they're, selling? To me, that's not selling. That's showing your authenticity. That's showing your excitement about something. That to me is how you sell. Most of the time you're selling yourself again. People are more likely to buy from you or want to work with you if they like you and they feel, that feeling from you. Raising money is more about gaining trust and building rapport with the investor. It has little to do with the deal or the opportunity you're presenting. And I know, Melissa, you kind of, had a different opinion, but, I am also, I am a passive investor as well. And for me, it's about and you talked about the operators. It's about the operators. It's about the people. The deal comes second to me. Because there's plenty of good deals out there that I would not invest in because of the people. And then there are some deals where the person or the people, the operators are so amazing that I don't actually even care about the deal. But that's just me, personally.
But that took time, right?
If you can already tell
You're right,
how authentic someone is, then you skip all the other questions like, all right, cool, I can already trust this person. I like them. Now, how's the deal?
Yeah. That usually doesn't happen on the first meeting.
Right. True.
True.
Yeah.
You got to prove yourself to those people. I mean, the parishes, first time we met them, it was like, okay, we're a group of young students, but you've never seen that before, trying to show you guys that you should work with us.
Right. I mean, you guys were just another group of students that wanted us to sponsor.
And so it took several meetings where they tell us, okay, this is wrong. Sorry, let's go away. Here's a dog bone. Go that.
Okay, this is wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's true.
It's reality. It's true.
It's true.
And so we had to keep coming back and dropping the stick back at their leg, okay, we did it. And then getting.
They were like, man, these people just won't leave us alone. We
happy dog. It's so funny.
You have to sell yourself before trying to sell a product. I think that's a big mistake that people do in sales is they think it's about the product. And it is about the product in certain circumstances, but it's about yourself first. So people are turned off by sales and salesy people just in general. You're trying to sell a house. most houses don't need you to go, well, here's the kitchen. You know, there's a way that you sell yourself, and then they trust you, and then they will listen to your opinion. So I believe technology is great for creating leads and solidifying, or, you know, giving merit to your brand. That combined with selling yourself will give you results you're looking for. And once you start to prove yourself, like in multifamily real estate, once you start actually paying investors those returns that you projected or even more, then you'll have proven track record. When you add the proven track record, like Donato was just saying that, when you add that proven track record and add that to the tech marketing and the face-to-face and, you know, people trusting you, that's when you have that formula of true success. It takes some time, obviously, to have the real track record, because, you know, people will say, like Melissa was talking about, people will say that they have 1,000 units, but are you a general partner? Are you actually making decisions? How, you know, much involved are you? Because there's a lot of people who are just limited partners as passive investor and call that part of their portfolio. That is not being authentic. And we never did that. Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah.
So quick, I think it's kind of a funny story. So we were never good at getting ourselves out there on social media, even once social media did, you know, started to become around, because we had started with just the face-to-face stuff. So we just never went backwards. So we weren't really getting ourselves out there on social media, didn't even really have a website until a few years ago. I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but we still became successful, but probably would have gotten further earlier had we hired someone to do this for us. So we were mainly focusing on face-to-face broker relationships. That's where our real success came from. We were making, you know, my husband and I were really good at going out with people, having cocktails. We would have, you know, such a great time. We became friends with our brokers, and they bent over backwards to help us get deals, because they knew that we would close, and they knew that we were easy to work with. So we sold ourselves, and that's how we did it, with selling ourselves. Could we have also used social media and all that stuff to get there faster? Like I said, yes, I think so. But who needed a website and social media when we were, you know, already successful in what we were doing? So we have a property manager named Nanette. I think, you know, probably most of the listeners with MFM know Nanette, because she was at Peak Partnership. She'd worked for us for probably close to 2 years when she told me that she wanted to actually buy her own property. And I believe what happened was she asked me for our partner Danny's number so that she could ask him questions about buying properties and get some of his advice and mentoring from him, because he has a lot of properties and he's been doing it for so long, is what she told me. See, Greg and I don't go around telling people what we own. And I don't think she thought we had been doing this for very long. But I said, well, what about me? And, you know, little did Nanette know, about 4 years ago, I was a coach for Dave Lindahl. And Danny was actually one of my students. So I told Nanette, do you realize that Danny was actually my student a few years ago? And Greg and I have been in this business since 2007. And she was really surprised and embarrassed, but I was embarrassed because we really didn't tell her everything. So I don't think that, you know, she was surprised because she didn't think that we knew what we were doing, but you can ask her that yourself. But she told me when she started working for us a couple years prior, she looked up GLP investments, and like I said, I don't even think we had a website at the time. So except for the MFM group, which, you know, only started a couple, 2 or 3 years ago, I was not even on social media either. I mean, I was on Facebook personally, but I never posted anything. In fact, I still don't. I don't post, what we have or anything like that. So my point is that one, it is possible to be successful without online marketing, but you'll work a lot harder, and successful likely take a lot longer. So why not do things the easy way? And if you aren't good at it, hire someone to do it. That's what we should have done. Hire someone to do it for you, or partner with someone who's good at it. And then 2, the perception of how you look online will eventually translate to reality, because Danny is now as successful as he appeared to be on social media a couple of years ago. It really caught up to him, and now he's killing it. So I really think that was it. Yeah, but I know, right? I know. And, I mean, think about when we went to Peak Partnership, how many times did you hear? I'm sure Melissa and Fia both, and Donato and Adam, all of you guys, because you're all really big on social media. How often did you hear, oh, I feel like I already know you, even though they hadn't met you yet? But especially MFM, then that site has really helped all of us be able to communicate with each other, network with each other. And then, once a year we see each other at Peak Partnership, or even Ultimate Partnering. and we all know each other, and it's like just a reunion, even though you haven't met half those people. Sometimes I actually was thinking, have I met you before besides
Yeah.
Facebook?
Yeah, I
Eventually,
remember
we'll
I was
Right. That's funny. I
we'll start
like,
meeting each other through the metaverse soon. That's
oh
gonna be
gosh,
amazing.
no,
Right?
don't say that. No, I liked that about you though. When we went to your house and I was talking to your good friends, and I was like, "You guys really have no idea how big she is in this business, do you?" And they were like, "She doesn't tell us anything." I don't like talking about people like that. Like, oh, I hang out with people who have millions of dollars. It's like, who are they? You know what I mean? That's great if people are making money. And like Melissa said earlier, this guy was going to do the coaching program. So you're following somebody's footsteps, but that's not why you're not hanging out with him because he has all
yeah,
this money. And I hear people talk like that. And I just don't, that's not
yeah,
authenticity. But to the old school and the new school, one thing I think people could really improve on, because a lot of our meetings are through Zoom, is not multitasking. Like when you're in a meeting, look at the camera, talk to people like you're there. And in every meeting I'm in, whether it's, with a team or an individual, or me coming to Melissa and saying, "Hey, I just want to hear what you have to say about marketing." If I was sitting there like typing the whole time, I don't know about other people, but that doesn't feel authentic. That doesn't feel like they're making good use of my time personally. It's like, in a sense, we forget about common courtesy, saying hello, how are you, greeting people, and we have a pretty big group of people. And sometimes I feel like, it will make all the difference in your morale of your team, or if you're meeting a broker on Zoom or whatever, looking people in the eye and being old school, we'll just call it, which is really just kind of having courtesy and caring. I think that's one area that we could really improve in. And it's totally different for all generations. I mean, the reason I think about this is because, like Lisa, I grew up with my dad doing business face to face. I was dragged around, had to watch him talk to all his clients. Sometimes it was so boring. I was 12 years old. But you learn from that, whereas my kids may not, my daughter's 23. She may not see the importance of getting on an online meeting and just looking at people,
let me
So,
add to that, what both of you are saying. When I went to UP, my favorite thing about the networking, and I told you before the camera came on, that was my favorite networking event by far, so far. And
yeah.
it was because nobody talked about what they owned. Not one
Right.
person pitched a deal unless they were asked directly if they had a deal. And it was usually after they knew somebody and they'd already been in that room with them several times. Like, "Oh, what are you working on right now?" That's all that was. It wasn't "Hey, you got a deal for me to put my money in?" or "Hey, I got a deal for
Yeah.
you to put your money in." And I've seen
Right.
that mistake a lot,
Totally.
a lot with new students going, just every conversation being about a deal, especially when they're in the middle of fundraising and are raising capital. They're really like, that's all they talk about.
No,
And
successful people don't like that. And
they
we get
don't.
really,
And
No.
we get really sick of always being pitched, and it's just another person coming up and trying to pitch to us. And the reason I never told my friends, and these are the people you met were like my high school friends that
Yeah.
I'm still friends with now, 30 something years later, but I don't want them to think of me differently. So I'm not, and I don't feel like I am different. So why do they care how much money I have or what success that I've had? The only time that I talk about it is when I think it's beneficial or helpful to the person. So if it's a student and I'm going to talk about it, not to brag, but because I want to show like this is what's possible. And what I talk about more than anything than my success is all of my failures, all of my stupid things that I've done, all my mistakes, all those things that, I mean, how often do I talk about that? Here's another thing I did wrong. Because I want to show people you can still be successful and make a bunch of mistakes, but it's definitely a lot easier if I've already figured out a lot of the stuff, and a lot of us have. So listen to the things not to do and then go down this path the easiest possible way, and you'll get there faster.
yeah, I love that about
I'm
you.
sure we wouldn't be on our second deal with you either if I was texting you all about business, because we're almost the same age. It in the same way that Adam and Donato are a very similar age. They've built their own friendship. We've built our own friendship, but like even it was a John Maxwell book saying like more when you take care of your responsibility, then more is given to you. So like on the first deal, the doors weren't just wide open for us to know every single little thing going on the deal. You know, we had to earn that trust. But at the same time, I wanted to know you as a friend, you know, and at our age, you know, social life and work and your kids are older, sometimes just aren't there. So like, and same with Melissa, you know, I've always kind of felt like, oh, I bet she would be a really cool friend. And here we are
Sure.
2 years later, you know,
Yeah.
Adam and Donato have a friendship, or 2 years, 1 year, I don't know. I lost track of time. It'll be 2 years sometime. But, you know, because we weren't talking about that, like, oh, well, how can we get them into the next deal or whatever? We were just trying to like, you know, learn into it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I went to twice. MFM has come back through San Antonio and had students. So I've gone to speak, and I'll step outside the room and give them the real information. Like, here's the deal. This takes work. This is a
Yes.
business. What you put in is what you get out. I was super frustrated 6 months in when I wasn't doing a deal yet. And, you know, Amanda Dearborn kicked me in the butt and said, "You're not underwriting enough." And I'm like, "What? I feel like I'm doing so much, you know," but she held me accountable, and we eventually, you know, just kind of switched gears and went into capital raising for deals instead, which I don't regret either path. I think both of them were very important. The whole underwriting, and we still do that, looking for our first deal. And then, of course, you know, still capital raising for other deals. But I would say that this authentic, like how we're acting right now and at UP, for me, that was key insight on how people like you, Lisa, are, how you talk and how y'all interact with each other. And I just kind of was like a fly on the wall, just observing, like, okay, I see it. Like, I'm very aware of the fact that people don't want to be pitched to. They don't want to talk about business all the time. You do business with people that you like and you trust and you know. And the only way that you can do that is to ask questions about them. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your kids, your grandkids, how's work? You know, what are you stressing out about these days? And then trying to
Well,
serve where you can serve. That has nothing to do with multifamily, but
right.
everything. Like, and that's what you're doing when you're sharing this journey of, here's all the mistakes I made. And I do the same thing. Like, I was doing it this morning. I have one of my subcontractors is going to go off on his own and do his own business. And I'm like, cool, here's what you need to do. Here's the mistakes I made being a solopreneur like you are. Here's how I lost clients. You know, like, don't make these mistakes. Like, I want you to have success.
That's so valuable too.
So,
So valuable. But I think, you know, besides just meeting somebody and asking questions, spending time with people, it takes time to
take
get
the
to know
time.
somebody, and it takes time. So it's not something that you know, really could even do on just one particular meeting.
Yeah.
So that's why I think when you're doing a 3-day event, go to the networking events that are after hours, sit and have a drink or, you know, or a meal or whatever with the people that you want to get to know, and actually have a conversation that, you know, you're always going to, for us, even on our, because we're so into real estate, everything always we end up talking about real estate because it's just, you know, it naturally happens, it organically happens. But you don't want to make that like the main thing that you're talking about, and make it look like that you're only there because you want something. Because as soon as, you know, a successful person or a sponsor, if you're talking to a sponsor, as soon as they get wind of you're there just because you want something, it's going to turn them off and they're not going to want to be there anymore. And they've got plenty of people who want something from them. There's not a lot of sponsors, and there's a lot of people looking for sponsors. So
Yeah. We don't want to
For
be,
sure.
like, as human beings, we don't want to be used, and we don't want to
Yeah.
be, and that's how it feels. It comes across and, oh, you're just using me to get ahead for yourself,
yeah,
instead of this genuine connection. We're going to do
right.
something together, build a business together. And you can like, that mindset has got to switch for some of these people. And hopefully they hear this, and it does. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Well, we're running out of time.
oh, sorry.
Oh,
No,
no,
we
it's
never
fine.
talked to him.
We did.
Moving on to the commercial multifamily Lion's Den trivia talk. Yeah. Radon gas is a colorless, odorless, and tasteless radioactive gas that is produced by the decay of uranium and thorium in soil, rock, and water. It is a natural element that is present in varying concentrations throughout the Earth's crust. Radon gas can enter buildings and it can accumulate to high levels in enclosed spaces such as homes, schools, and offices. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the U.S. About what ratio of homes in the United States have elevated levels of radon gas?
46. I just throw numbers out.
Wow. I hope
Am
not.
I
I hope you're right.
Chad.
But since I answered, I'll go look while y'all come up with
I'm going
it.
to guess, I guess 3%.
That's more than that.
Would you say 3%?
You said
3%.
3.
I know I wrote a paper on this in college.
Oh,
There's
I
certain
don't-
areas that are definitely higher concentration because I know LinkedIn, North Carolina, we bought property there and they said that in that particular area, it was most properties. I'm going
10%.
to say 7.
It's got to be more than that. I'm going to say, can I change my answer to
I
27?
have no idea.
27%.
You know
Well, you could be right.
You'll
could be
probably
right.
be the right one. This happens all the time with your high answer.
The answer is 6.6%, 1 in
Oh,
15.
Lisa.
Wow. I
Yeah.
never get them
Okay.
right.
At least
Good
I'm not pretty
job.
far off.
Are you going to cut this out because I got it right, Adam?
Did you say 6%?
I said
You said
7.
7.
Oh,
Seven.
yeah, it seemed closer.
Yeah. Good
I'm
job.
glad, Melissa, I'm glad you're not right on that one because that's a lot.
I know. True. I was like, that's killing,
That's
killing
not
half
good
the
news.
US.
Yeah, that would not be good news.
According to a report by the National Multifamily Housing Council, what percentage of renters say that a strong online presence is important when looking for an apartment?
Ooh,
Oh.
I want to
It's
know
the
this
age thing,
answer.
I'm
too.
gonna-
Like,
I'm gonna
I
guess-
couldn't give a shit
I'm going to guess
personally.
55%. 55.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bump that to 65%. I'm going to say 65%.
Anybody else?
50.
I only heard you.
I'm going to guess, but I want Fia to go first. So 65,
I'll
70.
just go with 50. But if they're all in my age group, they might not care. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to say some retarded number like 89%.
Right, I was thinking
might be
that
right.
too, but I'll go on the
Might be
50.
right. It's high. I think
I want to know the answer though, because this is a conversation I've had with some of the GP teams on some deals I'm on. So
Okay.
The answer is 94%.
wow, Melissa.
I was going to say 97. Then I was like, "Hey, let me go into the 80s.
I don't know.
This is a
No,
market
it's wild. I
question, so-
see the importance. I'm probably one of the few that doesn't really look that much, but I would think people would. Yeah.
Listen, I've been in
Yeah.
meetings and I'm like, what's your marketing? And they're, they always pay for the big package with apartments.com. And then they have their templates for the websites. But then I'm like, where are you at on social media? Because I will tell you, I have rented apartments because recently, even because of Instagram, because of Facebook. And so algorithm knew I was looking and fed me some stuff. And then I was like, ooh, where's this at? I want to live there. And it was an apartment
plans.
complex. This one I wanted to move into, I decided not to. I got this 2-bedroom instead. But this one bougie Class A property that I really wanted to move into, on the outside of the property, it did not look great at all. And I drove by it every day. Every day, did not know the amenities it had until their manager put a reel together and was showing the amenities. And I was like, it's like a hotel up in there. Let's go. And so I scheduled a tour like the next day. So I knew it was
Nice.
important. But a lot of these operators are not
Facebook
savvy.
is huge. Like anytime we're struggling renting something, because what I love about Facebook is, on Marketplace, you can boost it on Marketplace and pay a little bit of money, but it's temporary. So you're not stuck in a contract like apartments.com. If you need to lease up and you need to boost your apartments.com ad, most of the time they don't let you out of it. They might do maybe a 3-month trial, but you're kind of stuck and it's expensive. So I love Facebook, but it's different in different markets. I've found like in some markets, it's crazy the kind of leads that we get. Tons of leads, depends on what your demographics are. And then there's other markets where it doesn't really work so well.
Let
You
me tell
kind
you
of
the
have to know your
best,
market.
the
So
best source of referrals for a lot of the businesses I work with is all those mom groups. Like every town has them. We have a huge mom group here, and they are instrumental in people selling out with. Like at the beauty salon that I do marketing for, like anytime the students had openings, I'd be like, hey, the students have openings, and they'd be booked for 3 weeks out just off one post.
Final question. The personal savings rate is the percentage of people's disposable income they decide to save. It is often used either to provide funds to capital markets or to invest in real assets. According to fred.stlouisfed.org, the highest U.S. personal savings rate in history was 33.7%, which occurred in April 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mm.
What is the national personal savings rate as of February 2023?
13%.
I was saying it's gotta be less. Yeah.
0.00. No, I'm just kidding.
So it
13%.
was 33. He's saying
He's right.
13.
Okay, 13. 6.
Let's say
I'm gonna say
9.5.
I'm gonna say 17. Trying to cut it in half. That's not half, is it? Oh yeah, it is.
The answer is 4.6%.
I am not
Yeah.
surprised.
Wow.
I'm really
Was
not
I right?
surprised.
Or did somebody go lower than me?
No, you were the lowest. Oh, Yeah.
right
I think you
on.
were the lowest.
yeah.
4%.
Well, I was gonna say 3, but I thought
Yeah.
that would be too weird. So,
So-
right.
A lot of people are pulling out money and holding cash though because they don't trust the bank. So it doesn't necessarily mean people aren't saving. It's just not in
Right.
banks where you can count it.
Well,
There's
it's
a lot
all
of
going to
there's a lot of
end,
mattress
like,
money and
Mattress
right,
money,
right.
gold bar.
mattress money
$20.
or
I literally
safe
know
money,
people.
but seriously,
I
or
know a lot of people
gold-
with safe money now.
and me too. And gold and silver is another one too. People are putting transferring their money into gold and silver because banks.
Mhm.
It's also not liquid though, so if something happens, then more difficult to 4.6 isn't very good.
Yeah, but with inflation and people's rate of pay not going up, I can see why they've used it. I did too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I do too.
I try not to think about it when I go shopping because I don't want to have that scarcity mindset. But you go through and you're like I was at the cheap grocery store and hairspray that was like $2 was like $7. I was like, not gonna say anything, not gonna say anything. Just it'll
Oh, yeah.
pass.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just trying to make it good questions.
All right. That was awesome. Adam, you want to ask if there's any final? You look like you're ready to pass out. It must be really hot.
That's how I
I'm
feel.
sweating in here.
We
gotta
can't
work
figure
on
out.
that.
It's
Dying.
okay.
Justin, we're over here just having a good time.
Any
My
final
Godfather,
thoughts?
close us out.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Commercial Multifamily Lion's Den podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to leave us a like, subscribe, and share with anyone you think can gain value from today's episode. What obstacles are you facing? Let us know in the comment section below, and we'll get to it in a future episode. If you're interested in passively investing with us, you can go to am-multifamily.com, or you can email Fia at am-multifamily.com. Those links will be in the show description, along with the Lion's Den Facebook page and website. Thank you, and have a roaring day.
Yeah.